In this episode, we're going to be talking about our journey, how we got here, who we're here to help, and some of the valuable benefits and resources, information, and hopefully great strategies you're going to get out of our podcast going forward.
This is our very first episode. So we thought we would actually tell you our backstories so you know who we are and why you should listen to what we have to say, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. So Scott, why don't we start with you? How did you get into this industry and how'd you get here?
Sure. So I've been doing stuff on the internet since 1997. And that's a long time, 27 years. Wow, it's gone by so fast. But I first started out actually selling physical products online. And we did like t-shirts, ties, apparel, that kind of stuff. So we did that for several years, for many years actually. And then one night I was on Amazon and I saw that they had star ratings and reviews on their product pages. And I had this idea, hey, why doesn't somebody make software that other people can put on their website with ratings and reviews, kind of level the playing field with Amazon? So that was like my big idea, right? My light bulb moment. So I wrote down a bunch of notes and then I went to the office the next day. My dad was my business partner at the time, and we had another software company called TrustGuard, which we still have today. And it's a website security company. And so I got everybody set down on a table and I pitched my idea for this rating and review software, and I got completely shut down. Nobody thought it was a good idea. And so I tabled it for a year. And then at that point, my dad and I were kind of butting heads. And so I talked to him and I said, Dad, I need my own project or else I'm going to walk away because I care about you too much to damage our relationship. And so from that point on, I started building out Shopper Approved, and it's been an amazing ride for the last 14 years. So we launched that in 2010. And so over the last 14 years, we've grown into one of the largest rating and review platforms in the world. And it's been a wild ride. And you've been there for part of that ride, right, DJ?
Yeah. Last 5 years, exactly. In the meantime, you also started CartRocket, cart abandonment tool, basically a suite of tools to help e-commerce companies create more conversions, obviously through cart abandonment, ratings and reviews, and website security sales to drive more trust and conversions. It's quite a story, actually.
Yeah, we've started built several different software products. One of the other companies that we built was localreviews.com, right, to cater to the local review industry. We just got really, really good at social proof, ratings and reviews, trust, authority, transparency, all of those things that kind of encompass behavioral science, reputation, and it's been a fun ride for sure. So how about you? What's your background, DJ?
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I started out 35 years ago in enterprise sales with Eastman Kodak, and then I went into marketing with Kodak, and eventually started my own agency. I ended up working with NASCAR, the NBA, and several other professional sports organizations and teams. We got into research and getting customer feedback and helping out J.D. Power and Associates, Toyota, Lexus, Hyundai, and really kind of got into that customer feedback space and environment, sending out surveys and compiling information to help those brands improve the customer experience. Scott and I met 5 years ago over pizza, and at the time I was just coming off of a gig as CMO of a national franchise where I helped turn around their online reputation. In fact, story goes, I actually turned down the job originally because I didn't like what I saw online in terms of the ratings reviews. And they said, if you come on board as CMO, then you can take that on as a project, which I did. And we had an amazing journey turning that around in very short order, which then, of course, increased their traffic and conversions and revenue and sales. And so I got enamored, just all in on ratings and reviews, realizing how powerful that was at driving conversions and revenue.
Yeah.
And so decided to join Scott at Shopper Approved and really help, tell that story and improve online experience, reviews, trust, social proof, trust signals, and it's been amazing.
Really, I mean, the last 4 or 5 years have taken on a life of their own. And I think that's one of the reasons why we decided to start this podcast is because we've had a lot of aha moments right, along the way,
Yeah,
right, DJ? And
yeah.
we've met some amazing people. It's just there's so many doors that have opened up in the past few years that man, it made us realize just how much e-commerce business owners aren't aware of, right? What things they don't know that if they just knew could completely change their business. And so we thought we would create a place that people could go to find out what some of those things are. And our goal here for this podcast is to share everything we can about traffic and conversion, any type of strategy, any insider information, anything that can give you an edge as a e-commerce CEO, executive, marketer,
Mhm.
manager, right? Anybody that actually has authority and the ability to move the boulder, right? Just get something done. That's who this podcast is for.
We're here to help really fill the knowledge gaps and educate the e-commerce executive, the e-commerce leader on how to drive revenue, how to drive more traffic, how to drive more conversions. We really talk about SEO, CRO, behavioral design, behavioral science, conversion science, and all the different strategies that we've seen, we've developed, we've improved over the years that have dramatically compounded the growth for e-commerce websites. So, for example, we have a client that we're actually writing a case study on right now. We just interviewed last week, and we've improved their organic traffic by over 4,000%. Now, their growth was over 8,000%, but they're giving us half the credit for that. So we'll say that our tools and strategies improved their traffic by over 4,000%. We also took their conversion rate up to a 272% increase. So they went from 0.89 to 2.42%. So dramatic increase in conversion rate, dramatic increase in traffic by simply applying our tools and strategies. And that's what we love. That's what gets us excited, motivated, and drives us. Because what we saw is that e-commerce websites were missing a lot of this information. They didn't really understand the connection between SEO and CRO, the connection between behavioral science and conversion. And so we wanted to bring all this information and resources, knowledge together into this podcast, which is becoming a newsletter as well, and a community, a place where e-commerce executives can come together, share experiences, learn, grow, and improve their businesses together as a community.
Yeah, I like that you talked about connecting, right? Because it really does feel like we're connecting dots and
Yeah.
dots that have never been connected before, which is really cool. And when you make those connections, amazing things start to happen, like a 4,000% increase in traffic. Like this isn't just made up numbers. These are Google Analytics. These are analytics that actually prove the increase, and you can see it on the chart. I mean, when they first started using our services, the line is like nothing. It's like they had 250 people a day or
Yep.
something, right? And
Yep.
now it's
That was
like
250
in the
a day.
tens of thousands. It's crazy.
It's well over 21,000 a day now,
Yeah.
from around 250 a day to over 21,000 with spikes of 22,500.
And that's just on the
And it's absolutely amazing.
that's the traffic side. That's the
Right.
traffic side. Then you've got the conversion side, right? CRO is conversion rate optimization. I mean, to triple your conversion rate and 8 times, or not 8 times, 80 times your traffic. I mean, they're only giving
Yeah.
us half of that credit, right? But still their traffic went up 80 times. So
Yep.
for all we know, we could have helped them create the majority of that traffic. We don't, right? But for your traffic to go up 80 times and your conversion rate to triple, that's something
In
we
9 months.
that's in 9 months. That's something we call
Yeah.
compounding, right?
Yep.
Um, And the thing that we realized in the world we live in, everything is so siloed, right? You've got your SEO people and they do SEO,
Yep.
right? They just like, that's all I'm doing. I'm writing content, I'm getting backlinks to that content essentially, right? And then you've got your conversion rate optimization people, your CRO people, and they're just focusing on split testing and increasing conversion. And nobody's making those connections between the two worlds. And then you've got the behavioral science world, which is something fascinating that we've really done a deep dive into the last couple of years, where you get into the psychology of e-commerce, and that's a whole
Psychology.
nother
Very.
silo, right? That's a whole nother
Yep.
silo, and that silo leans towards CRO, right? Because typically people make decisions on the website, but they also make decisions in search, and so you can connect dots there as well. And it's just fascinating. Like, once you start making connections, you're like, holy crap, this is crazy what we can do, right? So,
Well, what we found out was that only 10% of split tests end up in a positive result. So 90% of all the split tests run around the world end up in a non-starter. It didn't move the needle.
mhm.
And what we realized was, in doing research too, is that if you apply proven behavioral design principles to your split tests, then you end up with a 60% success rate. So you go from a 10% success rate to a 60% success rate. So, we went all in on behavioral design. How can we help move the needle for our clients using proven principles that work, proven psychological principles with ethical persuasion? And we did a real research deep dive into the experts, Dr. Cialdini, Boss Wouters, Rory Sutherland, Roger Dooley, et cetera, BJ Fogg, Daniel Kahneman, and really looking at all their research and all of their books, and took several courses and got certified in behavioral design or behavioral science from the Cialdini Institute, from the Online Influence Institute, from the Behavioral Design Academy, from MindWorks, and became behavioral design experts because we knew that by applying those basic psychological principles to a website environment in both search and the website, we could move the needle. And so we started to run tests, create products, widgets, tools, and strategies around these proven principles. And that's what's helping move the needle for our clients. And we have another example. We tested one widget on the homepage for a client, and it improved their site-wide conversion rate by 41% with a single widget. And those kinds of successes are what really drive us, because we love to help our clients improve their revenue. We realize that the average conversion rate is only 1% to 2%. So that means 99 to 98% of your traffic is coming to your site and leaving without buying, without converting. That's the problem we want to solve. That's our why. Our why is to really help solve that abandonment issue, that non-conversion rate, and therefore drive more revenue, because you're spending a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of resources with paid traffic, organic traffic to get people to your website. But if they're not converting, then it's a waste, right? So our whole why is to help drive more conversion and drive more traffic through persuasion in the search results.
Yeah, persuasion is a term that Dr. Cialdini coined, and that we're going to talk more about, because it's a fascinating concept, right? And this is just the starter, the first episode of our podcast. So there's so many things that we can do a deep dive in and that we're going to in the future. But hopefully, like, now you know who we are, why you should listen to what we have to say, what the purpose of this podcast is. Ultimately, we want this to be so valuable to you that you can't miss an episode, right? Like, we want you to get something incredibly valuable out of every episode that you can apply directly to your business to make it more successful, because there's a lot of things, there's so many things that you can integrate and that you can use in your business if you know what they are. And we've just been fortunate to find a lot of those things because we're on the front line every day dealing with millions of ratings and reviews and thousands of e-commerce websites. And I mean, just the knowledge that and the resource we have available to us on a daily basis is incredible. So we're going to distill that information and give it to you. And then we're also going to bring in experts, right, DJ?
Yeah, absolutely. Beyond bridging that knowledge gap, as we talked about, in behavioral design and what we call review science, a term we coined, we've developed the conversion path, and we'll be talking about that. That's also a concept we developed, and that is explored deeply in our book, Reputation King, which is coming out soon. But we're going to bring in experts that are going to help also provide that information and fill that knowledge gap. So, for example, Nancy Harhut, she's author of the award-winning book Using Behavioral Design in Marketing. Dale Bertrand, he's an AI and SEO expert and president of Fire and Spark. Ann Smarty, she's a former editor-in-chief of Search Engine Journal and co-founder of Smarty Marketing. Linda Bustos, she's an e-commerce expert. Michael Cottam, an SEO consultant and expert. Marty Greif, president of Site Tuners, a CRO company. These are just some of the experts we're going to bring to our podcast to, again, fill that knowledge gap and help you, the e-commerce executive, create a better user experience, drive more revenue, more conversions, more traffic, and really live your dream, right? I mean, you didn't go into this business to eke out a living. You went into this business to create your dream outcome, your dream business. And we really want to help you do that. And that's what you can get out of this podcast going forward.
So there you go. There's episode 1 down. Yeah, we look forward to providing podcasts on a weekly basis to help you and to just give you great information that you can use to build your business. So I think in the next episode, what we're going to talk about is something we call knowledge gaps that in e-commerce that no one is seeing or paying attention to, that once you see them, they can make a huge difference in your business. So stay tuned to learn about knowledge gaps. And we're going to be talking about some things that are going to open your mind and really get you to see reality in a different way. So
see you in the next episode.
Take care.